Jim, we have some more wrestling to review. There's been a lot of wrestling on TV. Everyone wants to know what you think about the new championship belt. But first,
oh boy,
let's talk about SmackDown, which before we recorded, you asked me if I watched, and I don't remember.
Well, I don't see why you would remember it. And that's it. Let's talk about what didn't happen on SmackDown and Raw this week, because it's a WWE heavy program, because that's the two things that have happened since we've last spoken to the people. And again, with SmackDown, the first match was Finn Balor and Damian Priest, Judgment Day, against Rey Mysterio and Escobar. And I'm thinking, again, they're interacting every week in some combination, form or fashion, everybody, for a long time. And in this case, they basically had a nice match. Nothing wrong with it. Everybody's a professional here. And then Ray hit a 619 and Escobar hit the splash on Balor, but he wasn't the legal man. So they couldn't pin him. So Priest posted Ray and then grabbed Escobar and chokeslammed him. 1, 2, 3. And that was that. And then Damian Priest got the microphone and said he can't wait to see his friend, good old Bugs Bunny, who's coming to Raw Monday night. And we were 20 minutes into the program by the time they'd done that. And there again, Zelina and Adam Pearce did some scripted verbiage in the back. She wants the title match in Puerto Rico because that's her hometown.
She's from Queens.
Well, it's her home country or home whatever. It's my home. And also she's too short or something. I don't know what the fuck.
Are you saying that or she said that?
No, she said. A lot of people think I'm too short. Well, okay. I don't. And they did a package on old Shaky Nakamura being back, but guess who he's going to have to deal with, Brian? I know you're never going to guess this because the show put you to sleep before then. Karrion Kross.
Oh, really? I forgot about him.
Yeah, so did everybody else because he grew his hair back. He ought to be manscaping. He did a scripted promo in the back about Shaky, blaming Scarlett's tarot cards for all the bad things that are happening. It's not his fault, it's the cards. And again, it was just prepared words that he spoke. She looks great with the tarot cards. This whole thing is rotten. Cross looks blah with the hair and blah.
How many minutes into the show is this?
Well, hold on. We were 20 minutes into the show after the first match and interview ended, so we're at about the half-hour mark now. We come up with Ricochet and Braun Strongman against the Vikings, because remember last week, Ricochet and Braun were walking in the back. The camera was on them just walking, and suddenly, within 10 seconds, the Vikings jumped in and beat the fuck out of them. So that set this match up. We had the bell for match 2 at 37 minutes into the show. And I swear to God, at one point, Braun Strongman decks both of the Vikings and goes over and tags Ricochet. He grabbed Ricochet, and he's going to do the deal where he gives him a heel into the ring over the top rope and throws him onto the Viking who's standing there to catch Ricochet, right? So it's the cool big man, little man move, right? He grabs Ricochet, and right as he brings him over the top, the Viking had stood up, but when he stood up, he staggered back a step or two, and Ricochet was already in motion. And the Viking tries to run, and he's got his arms out to try to catch him. And what Braun Strongman did was just pick Ricochet up off the apron, throw him 8 feet in the air, and about 3 feet short of the Viking, he landed in a fucking heap. And then Strongman just goes ahead and punches the Viking that's standing there with his arms open waiting to catch him. And then they went to the break in like 2 minutes. And when they came back, they wrestled a little while longer, and Ricochet and Strongman won. What a surprise. And then The happy, peppy people, Liv and Raquel, smiled their way to the ring. And guess what match went across the top of the 9 o'clock hour on SmackDown?
See, I checked back in at this point. I try to start the show and they're running me off, but I'm like, something has to happen. You know, they have multiple hours of programming.
Uh-huh.
So there are different points. You check back in, 30 minutes, 9 o'clock hour, whatever it may be. So I saw this.
Liv and Raquel against Cruella and Chelsea. That is the star power they feel like that is putting their best foot forward for the 9 o'clock hour on a network television program.
And then I left the room again.
And there you go. And then they had Riddle in the back, still dressing like a novelty condom and giving mushmouth comments. And then I actually watched a match for the Intercontinental title, Gunther versus Xavier Woods. And again, the New Day, and he came out with a trombone. People wonder why nobody gives a shit about wrestling anymore, because it looks like the wrestlers don't. But it's Gunther, I'm going to watch it, right? They get started. Again, Woods, great athlete, nothing wrong with him. Gunther's fantastic. They go 2 minutes, and the break spot was a chop. Gunther chopped him. And they go to a break. So when they come back, he's getting heat on Woods. And again, Woods sells well. He's got fire. Gunther's aggressive. I love the way he manhandles people. He doesn't just do the soft laying on of hands that a lot of people do these days. Xavier makes a fighting comeback. Gunther finally took a bump. Xavier hit a dive, went to the top, hit a leg drop, got a 2 count. They went back and forth. Xavier hit a couple of false finishes, and Gunther trapped him in a sleeper and put him out. So at least there was a little bit of wrestling on this program. You didn't see this either, did you?
I did see some of this because I like Gunther. I'm not a fan of the New Day, but it was a good match.
But then they have managed to make the bloodline boring. The Usos did an in-ring promo where they plugged the 6-man at Backlash, and the big rematch for the tag team title is next week on SmackDown, but they were doing some kind of back and forth shtick between Jimmy and Jay. And it seems like that they're out there trying too hard to either talk the people into caring about this now or protesting too much that they're going to win the titles back. They're trying too hard. They weren't trying before they were doing it. Everybody was interested in what they had to say and whether Sammy was going to finally turn or not, and whether Cody was going to win the title from Roman. And now the Usos especially are not the strongest promos in the group. And when they're out there by themselves, it looks like they're trying too hard to stay over. Does that make any sense? They're trying too hard that I can see that it's almost like they know, shit, we're not getting these people now. We got to yell louder, try harder.
WWE, at the press conference after WrestleMania, have been insistent since then that this was the way they intended to go, that it wasn't Cody winning the belt and more bloodline inner drama coming out of that. It was this, and now we're weeks after WrestleMania, and like you put it perfectly, I'm bored with the bloodline. We haven't even seen Roman Reigns in a while. We'll talk later on about what announcement Triple H has made, which changes the way you perceive Roman Reigns in a sense. And I've said it before, I'm getting a little tired of Sammy on the mic. There has to be something new to do with everyone here.
Well,
or at least a way to propel this in a compelling fashion, because
yeah,
now it's just like a holding pattern for weeks. Come out there and do the holding pattern segment. Nothing really moves anywhere.
And that's, the movement is at a glacial pace, if that. And then the Usos introduced Solo so he could come out because and by the way, we're at the fucking main event. That's been the program. The main event, Solo versus Matt Riddle. No DQ. Lazy booking. And again, it's been so wrestling light on this program, and I want to see what's going on in the main event. But Riddle, I think Riddle's issues, I think, all come from him being a difficult birth, Brian. You've heard about that, right?
I have not heard about that, no.
Yep. After he was born, his mother had to go have her uterus fumigated. So that's going to put stress on the kid from the start.
Awful.
But so I don't know. It's no DQ, so they jump started, but Solo took over. But they went a couple minutes, and then Solo pulls out 2 chairs and 2 kendo sticks. We got kendo sticks again. And I fast forwarded a little bit. They fought on the floor. They went to the break. They came back, more chairs, kendo sticks. I say this all the time, but every indie match ever, suplexes on chairs. It may even sound better than it looked when I'm reading it. And finally, Solo threw Riddle over the desk, and they fought on the desk, and Riddle turned the desk over on Solo, like Solo turned the desk over on Riddle a week or 2 ago. And then the Usos come out and attack Riddle, because Solo's under the desk. But the match still goes on because it's no disqualification. And I know people are, well, they had no DQ matches back in the territory days. They didn't do it like this, where you could just dump one of the guys in the match and 2 other people could come out and take over for a while. Because that's disgusting heat that puts the heat on the referee in the promotion. But now they've trained people, well, this is what can happen. But nevertheless, Riddle foiled both of the Usos and dove on both of them. And then Solo came out from under the desk and slammed Riddle on the apron. Riddle ducked the spike and hit a knee, but then Solo hit the spike. 1, 2, 3. And then the heels put a table in the middle of the ring, and the Usos gave Riddle the 1D through the table, which, of course, we've never seen anything like that before. So now they just have to break a fucking table. And the people, this is how far that they've gone with this thing. Every time that there are wrestlers fighting, wrestling, doing whatever it is they're doing, the people are chanting for the furniture. We want tables. It's insane that they've created an environment where the people don't care what's going on with the talent. They just want to see whoever the talent is break some furniture. That's where we're at now.
You know what's crazy? At times I've thought they were piping in the We Want tables. I don't know if it was this specific match, but recently I had that thought, so you just saying that triggered me thinking it. I've actually thought maybe they were pumping it in a few times.
No, well, I've heard it on both programs, WWE and AEW, and earlier in this match, like he did a week or 2 ago. Riddle goes to pull a table out, and people cheer, and Solo stops him and shoves the table back in, and people boo. They don't care what any of these guys are doing. They just want to see somebody break furniture because they've been told that that's the point of this whole thing. And so even if you teach the wrestlers how to wrestle again, you're going to have to teach the fans what they're looking at again. And in the old days, it was easy to find wrestlers that knew how to wrestle. It was hard to educate your audience to the style and the things you wanted them to know. And once you did that, then the fans that you had educated to what you wanted them to accept as wrestling, because that was what you could present, the best style that you could present of wrestling. That's what you wanted your fans to think wrestling was. Now, in the old days, once you educated them, they made their own school of wrestling, because every time that new fans came into the arena and heard how the old fans reacted and what they reacted to and who they reacted to, etc., they would do the same thing. And the old fans would teach the new fans the rules. It's illegal to come off the top rope or throw somebody over the top rope or the pile driver's banned or it's automatic disqualification, whatever the case. And the announcers on the television program would always be backing that up. So the fans knew what was going on. Now they have educated the fans that it doesn't matter what happens in the fucking ring as long as somebody breaks some furniture.
Well, that was SmackDown.
It sure was.
They've made it all completely boring. All the enthusiasm I had after WrestleMania, or at least after night one, but around that period of time going into Mania, it's all gone now. It's a slog to get through these shows again.
And SmackDown's only 2 hours.